Michael Jackson. That man been dead for a long time. Why you didn't come out when he was alive or when it
They
first
were
happened?
still trying to get him, but he was quit it.
Oh yeah.
You know, only yesterday. Okay. Cool. Sure. No problem. Okay. Cool. Sure. No problem.
We sent over those list of questions, but there's a couple of new things that came up in the news, like
Sure.
Michael Jackson.
That's cool. Whatever.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. What's going on, brother?
What's up, G?
Hey, man.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, bro.
Brother Thing,
What's up?
what's going on, man?
How you doing, man?
I'm glad you can make it, family.
No problem, my G.
How'd you have a hard time finding a place?
Not at all.
Alright, cool.
Right there. The rain was crazy on the way.
Hi.
Real.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? Did you want ice?
No, that's
Are you
okay.
good with this?
Thank you,
Did you
sister.
want?
Yeah.
Oh.
But the rain was crazy. Other than that, I was Gucci.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You drink Hennessy, bro?
A little bit.
Alright.
Yeah.
I got you.
A little bit. Meaning I've been drinking it since I was 6.
Yeah. I figured, man. I figured.
He been from the game.
Well, I got root beer to mix it with.
Oh, root beer would be great.
Okay.
The hub.
Hub City names. Hub City dreams. It's Hub City for life. Every Wednesday, tune in at 8. With the U after the H, with the B after the U. This is the city. Hub City for life. This is the city. It's Hub City for life. Every Wednesday, tune in at 8. With the U after the H, with the B after the U. This is the city. Hub City for life. This is the city. It's Hub City for life. I said the Hub City way, it's Hub City Dre. Wanna find out what's up with Compton and tapping at A. Got the latest and greatest, independent he play. If it's major he play, if it's current he say. Look, you'll never know who might fall through next. Leave it up to DRE, that's the plug. Hustling until we ball, that's the hub. Collectively influencing the youth, that's the city. Ride with Hernandez. Then I made a left on Rose. Made another left on Bloomington. Then I made a left on Greenleaf. I stopped on a light on Alameda. Y'all don't let that light be too long. Riding around the city like a Renaissance. This is real life, this ain't just a song. This is Hub Radio. Every Wednesday, tune in at 8. With the U after the H, with the B after the U. This is the city. This is the city.
The hub radio.
Alright, welcome to the show, man. Live from the Hub, and your host, Hub City Dre, man. And we are live, man, on Wednesday Hump Day. Today is March the 6th, man, 2019. And we getting the show started, man. I got a nice little show lined up for y'all. We are going to be talking about a couple different things tonight, man. First, I want to put y'all on notice about our Who's Your Candidate campaign. The Hub Radio is covering the local election here in Compton that's going down on April 16th for District 1 and District 4. So we are hosting interviews with all of the candidates. We did one with Michelle Chambers on Monday that we released yesterday. on hubradio.net and on Facebook, so you can go check that out. She's running for District 1. And then we just did an interview today with 22-year-old Justin Blakely, who's running for District 4. So Janet Zarita coming up. We have Emma Sharif and Miss Inez Teddy Atkins also coming up. So that's coming up later on in the month. Right now we got let's talk about got this R. Kelly situation, man. Did y'all check out the R. Kelly interview? Anybody? Anybody? A little bit. Yeah, I caught some of the highlights. As y'all know personally, I'm over R. Kelly and his situation. But as y'all know, he got arrested a couple weeks ago for the allegations with the children, the young ladies, holding them against their will and all that. He got bailed out by a lady that owns a daycare, that runs a daycare, which was ironic. What's more ironic than that is that he needed $100,000 to get bailed out. I don't know why R. Kelly would need anybody to bail him out. Never heard no shit like that before in my life. I thought R. Kelly was doing pretty well off at this point. So I thought about it because the man can't read. You know what I'm saying? He does. So I can understand him going broke, but him being rich for what, 30 years now? He's been in the game for 30 years. If being dumb was going to be the one that took him down, I think he would have been broke. So I'm not sure why R. Kelly needs anybody to bail him out. But in any event, they did. He got out, and he went back to jail today for child support. R. Kelly owes over $100,000 in child support right now. So again, I'm asking, is Kels really broke? Anybody believe that? Nobody's buying that? This nigga got Grammys, all types of shit, so I'm not sure. But the interview was pretty, I don't know, would y'all say it was convincing? Him pleading that he was...
I didn't watch that shit. I just seen little snippets on Instagram and shit.
Yeah. It looked like he was really pleading his case. Like he might...
The nigga got up.
Yeah, that was a meme. Yeah, that was one of the memes.
No, I'm talking about the real shit. It reminded me of when he got up and pointed down. Do this shit to me? Yeah, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing how this kind of works out. I think personally that R. Kelly should have been charged for doing some of the heinous bullshit that he's done over the years, but to each his own. I can actually argue both sides of that. I think because in California is the only place, well, not the only place, one of 5 or 6 states where the age of consent is 18. I think most states is like 16. So, yeah. Speaking of icons being torn down, we got the Michael Jackson Leaving Neverland documentary. I heard about this. It's pretty much on the same lines as R. Kelly's documentary. It's some accusers coming out talking about how he abused them. I'm not sure how I feel about this one though. I'm kind of the jury's out on this. I haven't watched the documentary, so I'm kind of like not sure about it. But I don't know. I've been feeling like maybe Michael Jackson may have had something to do with children at some point in time. There's a lot of allegations over the years. But do we protect the dead? Do we is it like what God bless the dead? We don't speak on.
I'm saying shit's over, man. He's dead. And
So let it go.
Well, I'm saying with the R. Kelly, there wasn't a lot of people arguing against it. There's actually people. There's another documentary that's gonna come out against what's going on with Mike. Like, no doubt he's a weirdo. I wouldn't let my kids stay over there.
Yeah, anybody. I think that 20 years of people kind of like putting this coat on you, and you still got kids coming to hang out at your house is kind of an issue.
But that's not weird that these parents is letting their kids go.
Definitely, I mean, a lot of parents sell their kids though, sell their kids off. You know what I'm saying? Like, I personally wouldn't be having my kid hang out over there, but there's people that was okay with it. So, you know.
Documentaries on the Rampage.
They're the documentaries on the ramp, but they're only on black entertainers.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, man. I kind of straddle the fence on this. It's a touchy situation. Jordan Woods, another black person, is being kind of tore down media right now. She did an interview on Red Table Talk, and she talked about the Khloe Kardashian and Tristan Thompson situation. We all kind of know that. Okay, so what happened basically is Tristan Thompson had a party. Her and Kylie decided to go. She hung out over there to all the wee hours of the night. They say she was flirty. She had her legs kind of cocked on them, kind of like, you know, I've never had none of my girls, homegirls, put their legs on me. But I don't know. She says it was innocent. She said she stayed till 7 a.m. She said that was innocent. She said that he kissed her on the way out, and she also said that was innocent.
Fucked him on the way out.
She fucked him.
That was innocent.
She fucked him. She fucked him.
And it was innocent.
I'm convinced. I'm convinced she fucked him. She fucked him, and then that's what it is. I'm not sure why this is even important, or why do we even care. I don't know if I even feel like she's a bad friend, being the fact that the Kardashians have built their brand on doing a lot of the same thing. Case in point, I believe that she got with French Montana when her friend Trina was with him. Tristan Thompson was actually he had a baby with his girlfriend on the way when her and Tristan met. So I don't know. Do we feel sorry for? Do we feel sorry? Do we care? Do we? No one gives a shit. Yeah, I'm on the same page. Because they're sitting there trying to paint her out to be this like horrible person. Absolutely. Like she's the worst person in the world, and yeah, I don't know. And does she need to be defending herself at this point? Like, does she have anything coming out? Any business ventures coming out is what I was wondering. Like maybe she's protecting her image.
For like some makeup the day after.
I would hope that she's going to cash out on this situation. More power to Jordan Woods. I hope that shit works out for her in a real way, like, on everything. Big facts, big facts. March Madness, y'all, is coming up. Hub Radio is hosting March Madness. It's a celebrity basketball tournament held at King Drew High School. We got it hosted by my homeboy Watts Homie Quan. We have Boogie in the building. We got TF Third, Lil Easy, London on the track, Compton AV, I Am Compton, Glasses Malone, Bone. We just got a few other people that confirmed that they'll be there too, man. So we're expecting a huge turnout. It's a voter registration event. If you're registering to vote, you get in for free. If you are not registering to vote, you have to pay $20 to get in. It's going to be a tournament, 4 teams. You expect 3 games, a live performance. We'll talk about local politics. We'll talk about building up our own communities and what we can do to help out our own home. So we'll be talking about that, man. That, again, is March the 24th at King Drew King Drew High School. Yeah. On every, my bad, bro. My bad, man. Hey, how was Africa? I know you just came back from Africa, man. I'm on my way out there in a couple weeks too. I'm expecting Yeah. You went to Johannesburg, right? Okay. Yeah, we got to talk about it, bro. I'm not going to Johannesburg, but yeah, going to the continent. Hey, man, later on tonight, man, we already got him in the building, man. TMZ's own, the Red Pill podcast on Van Lathan is in the building. We talking NFL, we talking race, we talking Black History Month, we talking all types of things, man. I want to know about your weight loss and everything, man. So I know you got a lot of things going on, bro. So we're gonna talk about all that. Let's see if we're getting everything all set up, man. The squad is good, everybody's in place. We're gonna take a break real quick. And when we come back, we're just gonna get it started, man. We're gonna bring Van Lathan on. And we're gonna get this interview started, man. We're gonna be right back with more live from the Hub City. Trey in the building, Van Lathan on his way in here, man. Hub Radio. We'll be right back. Yeah.
Love is a weapon, love is a cure. It's an addiction that most can't ignore. We crave it, we need it, we feel no meaning. When I leave the
Cell Shade Shop is an online boutique located in South Los Angeles, specializing in trendy eyewear fashion for men and women, as well as coordinating cell phone cases and accessories. Cell Shade services the community with chic sunglasses and cases through our online shop. For trendy eyewear and cell phone accessories at affordable prices, log on to www.cellshadeshop.com and follow us on Instagram at cellshadeshop.
The mayor's got behind you.
Yeah.
The whole city is jumping behind you, man. Like the support is there. Do you feel any pressure?
Well, of course you're gonna feel pressure, but pressure is a privilege. Because, I mean, you could do, because, like, pressure is a privilege. So, like, just imagine, because, like, pressure can also, like, give me a purpose on what I do. Because if you, like, didn't have pressure, then you wouldn't have any purpose on what you're doing. And you wouldn't be able to do or, like, succeed and do certain stuff. So
that's right. I see you, Pops. I see you.
Bars.
Bars over here.
The Hub Radio.
What inspired me to play was there was somebody my skin color that was strong and powerful. Cause you know I see Serena every time and I'm like, wow, she can do this, then I can do this.
Good.
Just got to the tennis courts, about to get it in.
Get ready?
Yeah. It doesn't matter what you're doing, you gotta have a why and why you do it. When my dad first went to go look for places to hit in Compton, there was nothing. This spring I'm launching Rally with Cali, and it's mostly just to bring kids together, bring the community together, show kids that tennis is a great sport. The way Serena uses her voice is so inspiring. It's almost like she's fighting for my future. So when I become big, I'm gonna change Compton.
We are back live from the Hub City. Dre, we have our first guest in the building. Man, we got my man from TMZ, the Red Pill podcast show, man. Own Ben Lathan is in the building.
What up? How y'all doing?
What's going on with you, my brother?
I'm loving it, man. I'm loving life right now. I'm blessed. You know what I'm saying? Doing my thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Happy to be with some black people tonight.
That way, man. Glad you can make it too, bro. I'm glad you can make it. Hey, man, I was saying this to one of my people earlier today, man. I was saying that you are one of the one of the few voices for black young culture in mainstream media. So, like, when people looking for mainstream media or news, they're going to TMZ.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the first thing everybody looking it up.
Right.
And in the media, a lot of times we're portrayed a particular way.
Sure.
This is why I kind of want to get into it, especially being from Compton, because like we get portrayed all kinds of ways.
Word.
So I feel like it's important that I got in here and kind of being able to tell my own story from a realistic standpoint, from an authentic standpoint. I think for you, you do that for us as a whole, and you speak for the culture in a lot of cases for mainstream media, man. Do you actually feel like that?
Well, yeah, I think that what happens a lot is, being black in America, my father said something interesting. My father said that, the internet has sort of homogenized the black experience, meaning that when my dad used to come out here and visit LA in the 70s, one reason why he liked to come was because everybody out here was so different than people were in Louisiana, right? They talked different, they dressed different, they sounded different, they ate different stuff. And he says that now the internet has sort of homogenized culture to where when you go home, the kids dress the same way they do out here, and that kind of happens all over the country. Right. And to a degree, the black experience has common threads. What happens when you get to a mainstream news entity is the people there feel like in order to achieve some sort of success where they are, what they have to do is sort of mute the parts of them that make them themselves. They have to tone down the authenticity of where they're from, their experience, what they love, what they did, how the people thought, dressed, and acted, right? That way, it's easier for their culture, for who they are, to be translated for a mainstream audience. I think over the past 7, 8, 9 years, we didn't realize that's whack, and we don't have to do that. And to be honest, doing that only creates cookie cutter images of people, and it doesn't allow us to have the power to get through and really cut through some of these talking points and get to the real issues in the real way that the people that we grew up with think. And so for me, I was never gonna be in a room full of white people and mute myself or mute my thought process or change or conform for anything, because it would be doing a disservice to the people in the community where I'm from.
True. And it shows though, because like when I hear stories breaking on TMZ, and I'm like, damn, like I be waiting for how we're viewed, or how we're portrayed. Yeah. But then when you get in there, like you're always coming with a it's thoughtful. Yeah. You're putting thought into what you're saying. It's like you represent us well.
I appreciate that.
You represent us well. I'm happy to have you on there. Like I can stand back and be like, yo, Van got this. Like I know he's not gonna let us sit up here and look like any particular way.
And the issue is, and I've said this a lot of times on a lot of platforms, is the most painful and tragic thing about being black in America is simply being misunderstood. Now those misunderstandings sometimes have annoying consequences, like being followed around the store. Sometimes they have deadly consequences, like being killed by a police officer. But when you're in a room with the opportunity to make people understand and to translate your culture and your experience, it's incumbent upon you to do that, because the only thing that saves white people from looking stupid is diversity. Because I'm telling you, if you take the 10 best white people you know, the 10 best people from any race that you know, and put them in a room with no diversity, it's going to be a very short amount of time before they start to do and say things that are offensive to you, because there's no one in there to correct them. That goes for us too.
Right.
And so over the course of doing that, you hope that you're able to share with your coworkers in a way that doesn't have to be so confrontational, in a way where they understand what you're trying to get at and you understand what they're trying to get at.
Clearly that shows too, man. Okay, so now a couple things I wanted to talk to you about, because there's a...
Where the Hennessy
at? Right there, my brother.
Being ourselves.
Yeah, be ourselves, brother. Be ourselves. So okay, now listen. This black thing. This black thing. A couple things I want to talk about in our culture. One of the things, Jussie Smollett, right?
Sure.
So, when the story first broke, you were 100% in his corner.
And still am.
Still am. Okay. Okay. My question to you in this case: do we hold our own accountable for when they begin to fabricate stories?
Sure. After.
After what?
So this one, this is what I mean. Okay. So me being from Louisiana, right? Where I'm from, somebody runs up to me and tells me that they were the victim of a racist, homophobic attack. They got beat up by some white boys. They got beat up by the cops. They got beat up. That's not.
This is believable.
It's believable.
Very believable.
It's believable. Now, are the details of Jussie Smollett's story fantastical? Absolutely. Does that mean that they didn't happen? No. What I try to impart with black people is cultural credibility, trust, and patience. Meaning, because you are like me, because we are all the same, there are certain leeways and graces that I'm going to grant to you that I wouldn't anybody else. Which means, if it's you against the Chicago Police Department, they have to prove you're lying.
Right.
They have to prove that you did not, that what you said happened didn't happen. I'm going with you until it is proven that you lied.
So at this point, do you believe that he's been proven to be?
It's not looking good. I'm not stupid. It's not looking good, but
you're still riding with him. Like,
listen,
is there hope? Is there any hope in you that he's telling the truth?
It's weird because you don't. If he's telling the truth, that means that he got beat up by some people, and that's bad too. But for me, until now, I'm not gonna act like it's not falling apart. It is, but there'll be an investigation, and at the end of this investigation,
should he be prosecuted?
Well, yeah, if he lied, sure. If he lied, listen, here's the thing. If Jussie Smollett lied, he's no different than Donald Trump. He's just another person that weaponized homophobia, racism, and the current climate that we're in to get to his own personal gain. So if he lied, then he should be held to a standard even more severely than the rest of these people that are playing identity politics.
Now, okay, now, while I agree with you on that, because I do, I feel like if we're going to prosecute him for lying, then we got to go back only a few weeks and prosecute the lady that accused Chris Brown of rape. Then we got to go back even a few more weeks and we can go prosecute the next person that called out some what's his name, Barbecue Becky, that called the police on the.
Well, here's the thing.
So we can keep
There's
going.
There's a specific crime that Jussie Smollett committed, which is filing a false police report. So if you call the police, that's one thing, right? Hey, this happened right here, coming out there, boom, boom, boom. If you file a police report alleging that something happened, the police put man hours on the street, and that report turns out to not be accurate, where Jussie Smollett is right now, that is in fact a felony.
So then let's just go with the Chris Brown situation, because she did file a police report.
Right. And if she filed a false police report against Chris Brown, I have no problem with her being prosecuted.
So because my thing was, if we're going to, and I do believe that he should be prosecuted. I think that he should be. But I think if we're going to prosecute him, we should prosecute everybody. If we're not going to prosecute everybody, leave him alone.
This is my thing. If you file a false police report for whatever reason, and you waste taxpayer dollars, you waste police time, man hours on the street, it's a crime. You should be prosecuted.
Switching lanes. Black people, period, right?
Yes, I love
we value ourselves more when we know ourselves.
Yes.
We just celebrated Black History Month.
Yeah, it was a rough one.
Okay.
Yeah. Roughest one in years.
First, why do you say that?
Cause man, we doing it over, bro. We didn't really get a chance to get in our bag like we supposed to, bro. We had the Jussie situation, a bunch of other high profile things that went down. It just didn't seem like we were really able to get to the Harriet Tubman blackness that we need.
Did Mayweather disappoint you for Black History Month?
Of course he did. Like I'll tell you something about Floyd. Floyd is. I don't want to get in the middle of two millionaires fighting, but we have to have a conversation about guys like Floyd. Floyd is an incredibly talented guy, is an unbelievably gifted businessman, but an individual that's influential as well, that sets every negative role model for young African Americans that you possibly could. There's almost no person besides what he's accomplished inside the ring that you would want your son to be less than Floyd Mayweather. And that's just a reality. Now, that's not to say that he's a terrible, bad person. He owes it to himself to be true to himself. But we might have to turn the volume down on him a little bit.
So, okay. Now, do we have to acknowledge it. We have to put it out there and say, yo, this is not the way to go.
Sure.
How do we keep that energy consistent? Because it's easy for me or for us to go at Mayweather because that was clearly it. You know. But another person I truly admire that posted a picture just shortly after that was Snoop Dogg. He had on the Gucci glasses with the big the Beetle on the front. No one said shit.
Right.
Do we have to? Where's that same energy? Do we hold that same energy for everybody, or is it certain people that we just, we on you because we know you with the shits?
Listen, I think that one very important tool that we have to be able to use is compartmentalization, and we have to think of these things in nuance. So, if you look at Floyd, this is not his quote-unquote first offense. All right. Now, first of all, let me explain something. Floyd is being Floyd, and Floyd Mayweather has never claimed not once to be a leader in the African American community. He's never claimed not once to be anything. So he's doing what he wants to do.
Okay, then let me ask you this then: Does fame and fortune and respect give you the? Does it put you in that realm where you
to me
are?
It does. To me it does. But for him it doesn't have to. And he's entitled to live his own life. In terms of Snoop, if you look at a guy like Snoop, right? So let's say Snoop didn't get on board with a Gucci boycott, or whatever. I didn't get on board with a Gucci boycott. I don't shop from Gucci. You know what I mean? So let's say Snoop didn't get on board with a Gucci boycott, right? Snoop has other things that he's been doing in his community for a very long time that prove that he is invested into his community.
This is true.
He is putting young men into the NFL. He's out in Long Beach, in these areas, doing things, working with people, and doing attacking issues and problems that exist there. Floyd was at Trump Tower a week after Donald Trump was elected. So when you look at things in their totality, you don't. I think it's always wrong-headed to sort of hold someone hostage by one moment. It's never one moment. It's never one mistake. It's never one thing that you disagree with. It can never be that. You have to look at someone in the totality of what they do, and then go, is this person really for us? Is this person really not for us? And if they're not, then you give them enough rope to hang themselves.
Going back to black people.
Poor analogy, no lynching. like nobody's getting hung. Much health and happiness to Floyd, health and happiness to Snoop.
Going back to knowing ourselves and just having that knowledge of history within black people. We just celebrated Black History Month. As a child, is there, looking in hindsight, is there anyone or anything in particular that you would have wanted to know about or learn about for Black History Month as a child?
I think it's important that we teach black children black history that predates anything that's in their history books. And I'll tell you why. I'll give you an example. I'll tell you a story of why. So, I'm from Baton Rouge, and when, in like 94, 95 or something like that, I was in high school. Yeah, I'm old. And so, LSU got a genealogy lab. And in the genealogy lab, you were supposed to go in the genealogy lab, and you were supposed to look up your ancestors, where people were from, and stuff like that, because it was like a big deal, right?
Right.
That they had this state-of-the-art genealogy lab. So we did this project in class, and all of the kids, I was in the gifted program, so a lot of my classmates were white, and all of the kids, because of segregation in Louisiana, all of the kids, they went and they did this, and they had these amazing stories, right? One kid was like, yo, man, I found out that my people were from Germany and blah, blah, blah. And this other kid got up there, it's like, my people are from Belgium, and I'm actually going to go to Belgium this summer. I was able to make contact with them and all of this stuff like that. And so I remember everyone had went, and the teacher calls on me, I go up there, and I was like, I have a bill of sale.
Shit.
From 1813. And I was like,
first off, to find that is even.
It was fantastic. I remember my mother worked on this with me. I had a professional with Tulane working on it. It was fantastic. I had a bill of sale from this was like a 6 months long project. A bill of sale from like 1813. And what happened was, wherever we had come from in Alabama, a sale was made to a plantation in South Louisiana, and one of this is as far back as it goes, one of my ancestors were there, right? And so in that example and in that story lies the crippling paradox of Black history. We have so much amazing history to celebrate. We have Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and we have James Baldwin, and we have Louis Armstrong, we have George Washington Carver, and we have Harriet Tubman, and we have Madam C.J. Walker. But we have all of these people that are representative of a group of people that had to figure out a new cultural identity on the fly. That whereas the rest of the white Americans that are here in America have this cultural identity that goes back thousands of years, right? All the way back, if you're Italian or if you're Roman, Romulus and Remus and all of these things back there, we have to start it with the pain of being slaves. What that does is makes young Black kids think that their entire existence is in some way connected to servitude, strife, struggle, and overcoming some type of invisible albatross that they can't even see. When the reality of it is, they are actually the fathers and mothers of civilization. The world began under their feet, and before they were slaves or in America, they were carpenters and architects and kings and queens and doctors and astronomers, and all of these things. That's the story of us. And that story comes from a connection, a reconnecting to Africa, and a mending of that relationship, which is something that a lot of people don't talk about. Our future has to be a part of our past, meaning we have to kind of connect to that continent, not just that continent, but people in the Caribbean and all Black people everywhere, so that we know that there's an identity that's inside of us that is representative of triumph and representative of achievement. And so that's very important, and that's what Black history in American curriculums fails to address.
Would you ever do the African ancestry?
I'm not giving the
have a
government
drink,
my
man.
DNA.
Have a drink first.
I'm not giving the government my DNA, man. Listen, they hemming people up on that. You're giving people your DNA. There was a guy that came back, and the government was able to in Alabama was able to tie him to a crime. I'm not giving my DNA to you. I don't trust these people like that.
Tied him to a crime.
Look it up.
That's a cold one.
Yeah, I mean he had did the shit, but still.
Still got caught slipping.
It's just still, you know what I mean?
Yeah, nigga, if you did some dirt.
If he had did the shit, but you know.
Loretta did that shit.
Yeah.
All right, NFL, man. I noticed that you've been boycotting.
I didn't watch.
You've been boycotting for a while now.
Whole season.
A whole season. That's a while.
I watched one game, yeah.
Which game did you fall victim to?
The Saints and the Rams, man.
Why?
The Saints and the Rams in the playoff, not the playoff game. I didn't watch that. I watched it early on in the season. I just couldn't. And plus, I blame my dad for this too.
Can't finger point, man.
I'm gonna be honest with you. My dad is a little bit less woke. He just kind of looks at things straight up and down. And so he was like, listen, son, I know you're out there doing your righteous nigga thing, but I'm going to need you to watch this game.
Is that a direct quote?
That's exactly what he said. But I'm going to need you to watch this game, so I need somebody to talk to this about. But I watched one game. But other than that, no, my mind's made up on the NFL.
Yeah, and at first I saw on one of your posts, man, you wasn't sure if your boycott was going in vain. Then we got a report that said the ratings were at an all-time low for the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Do you feel that not just yours, but other boycotts are justified now?
They're justified, but I don't think they're working.
Okay.
Okay, so when you talk about an NFL boycott, a boycott normally means that, we're all joining hands and doing something to affect an economic or political end, bring the league to their knees. That's probably not going to happen with how big of a business the NFL is. For me personally, knowing how the NFL, like at this particular age at 38, knowing that a man took up a peaceful protest on behalf of people who look like me, and that the league or the organization that he works with, rather than lean into a discussion and address issues that affect such a large portion of the players of their employee base, that rather than do that, that they chose to silence him, blackball him, and take his livelihood away, it proved to me that the NFL wasn't just a league, that it was a racist cartel full of old white men that want to see niggas run, jump, and catch, but not be free. So, like, as I'm watching this, as I'm looking at this, it's not fun anymore. I can't watch it.
You see it on another level.
Yeah. Now, a large portion of the NFL viewership, large portion of the NFL, workforce is black, and those guys have families, and those guys are out there doing their best to try to bring generational wealth to the people around them, and they've been doing that for a long time. So I don't begrudge them for that, and I don't begrudge anyone that watches the NFL. It doesn't say anything about to me if you're watching it and enjoying it. I'm saying that I can't do it. I think that it's a personal choice, and so I think that if the league were ever to lean into some of these issues, I might change my mind about it.
What would the NFL have to do to call up your personal boycott?
Well, they would have to show that they care about the initial thing that he brought up. It has nothing to do with Colin getting a job. It has nothing to do with Eric Reid being signed. It has to do with the fact that if the NFL had done nothing, that would be one thing. But that's not what they did. Right. What they did was the same thing that people have been doing to black and brown people since we got here to America. If you use your tongue to speak, they cut it out of your mouth. That is something that at this point in my life, I cannot tolerate. Had they not even done that, I will be okay. So now, what they have to do is they have to do a little talking of their own. And they have to talk about these issues, and they have to address these issues, and they have to empower the players to really deal with some of them. And since they can do everything else, they can do that too.
So are we not satisfied now, being that Colin is satisfied?
I'm happy for him. But as I understood it, what he did and how this started didn't have anything to do with him. It had to do with his feeling about how everybody else was being treated. Right. And one thing that we have to learn how to do as a culture is keep our eye on the ball. Stay focused on what the goal is and not distracted by anything else. And that's how it works. The president, the buffoon, gets involved and he starts saying all of these different things and then all of a sudden it's about Colin getting a job, it's about all of this, and it's not about what we're talking about, which is the lives of young brothers and sisters and communities all over America.
Now, I interviewed Brother Rizza Islam a couple weeks ago.
Love that guy.
Yeah. He brought up a good point. Speaking about Colin being endorsed by Nike.
Yeah.
But Nike being a heavy supporter and investor in the prison industry, which contradicts the Neil in the first place, being that you're doing it because of police brutality.
Depends on how you look at it.
Okay. Give me how you're looking at it. Because the way we see it, he kneeled because of injustices in the United States based on police, the relationship with blacks and police.
Right. Let me tell you, a brother like Rizza Islam is always going to be somebody good to talk about, talk to, and talk with, because when you talk to someone like that, you're going to get purity. You're going to get the purity of the message of Islam. You're going to get the purity of the message of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and people like that, you're going to get a pure way to look, an undirtied and untainted way to look at certain things. While I don't agree with everything that the nation does or says, by far, I do agree with how they look at things with a full and pure heart. This is who they are, and they define themselves, and they're for the advancement of black people. Sometimes the world isn't like that. Like
most cases of the world.
Most cases the world isn't like that. So Colin Kaepernick gets to a point to where the reality is that he's got a platform, he's got this, but he's also got legal bills that he's trying to pay in a fight against the NFL. He's also trying to do his best to amplify his voice and keep it amplified while he's fighting this fight. So he might have made some decisions that other people might have not made. I don't think that has to necessarily cut the legs off his entire movement. I know Brother RZA would never be down with Nike, you know what I mean? And that's why we love guys like that, because we need a standard set with people who never capitulate and refuse to move. But in terms of this situation with Colin, even the settlement itself, that's not what I thought we was doing. I thought we were going to the mattresses with the NFL, and I had to have personal conversations with people very close to that situation to understand what the science was on the actual settlement itself. Yeah. But remember,
can't talk about that.
Can't talk about that. but remember, in a war, they're all different types of soldiers.
True.
All different types of soldiers, and we have to allow each other latitude to be different.
True. I respect that. All right, look, we're gonna take a break real quick. When we come back, man, I want to talk more about the NFL, but I want to say what if the NFL was like a Negro League? How could that even be possible? I want to talk about that. I want to talk about a little bit more into black economics and things. But Van Lathan, man, we'll be right back with more live from the Hub City Trade. Yeah.
My real father's gonna feel me on this one. All the deadbeat fathers gonna hate me.
Yo, Alex.
Hey, what's up, Tato?
Y'all coming through Saturday, right?
Come on, man. You know I wouldn't miss that for the world.
I've been hanging with my kids, just chilling, man. I'm living like a father. All my brothers that can relate to me, man. Shout out my real fathers. Take care of your kids even if you cannot work it out with baby mama. Working 9 to 5, hustling so you never see your kids starve. Changing diapers, making bottles, feeding your kids, that's a real father. If you ain't called your kids in a couple days, man, you not a real father.
Yeah, real fathers.
Love is a weapon, love is a cure. It's an addiction that most can't ignore. We crave it, we need it, we feel it, we mean it. When I leave them, no feelings.
Cell Shade Shop is an online boutique located in South Los Angeles, specializing in trendy eyewear fashion for men and women, as well as coordinating cell phone cases and accessories. Cell Shade services the community with chic sunglasses and cases through our online shop. For trendy eyewear and cell phone accessories at affordable prices, log on to www.cellshadeshop.com and follow us on Instagram at cellshadeshop.
The mayor's got behind you.
Yeah.
The whole city is jumping behind you, man. Like the support is there. Do you feel any pressure?
Well, of course you're gonna feel pressure, but pressure is a privilege. Because, I mean, you could do, because, like, pressure is a privilege. So, like, just imagine, because, like, pressure can also, like, give me a purpose on what I do. Because if you, like, didn't have pressure, then you wouldn't have any purpose on what you're doing. And you wouldn't be able to do or, like, succeed and do certain stuff. So
that's right. I see you, Pops. I see you.
Bars.
Bars over here.
The Hub Radio.
What inspired me to play was there was somebody my skin color that was strong and powerful. Cause I see Serena every time and I'm like, wow, she can do this, then I can do this.
Good.
Just got to the tennis courts, about to get it in.
Get ready?
Yeah. It doesn't matter what you're doing, you gotta have a why and why you do it. When my dad first went to go look for places to hit in Compton, there was nothing. This spring I'm launching Rally with Cali, and it's mostly just to bring kids together, bring the community together, show kids that tennis is a great sport. The way Serena uses her voice is so inspiring. It's almost like she's fighting for my future. So when I become big, I'm gonna change Compton.
We rolling, man. Live from the Hub City Dre, man. We got Band Lazy in the building.
Yo.
And man, we're talking about the NFL, but I had this dream. I had this dream.
I have a dream.
That Negro Leagues made it a little bit further. Up to our timeline.
Right.
I envision that if all the black people did leave the NFL and start their own league,
right,
how would that be in comparisons to the NFL?
Right.
And how would what position would that put us in? Now, I know that obviously it would start off on the lower end,
right,
which means sacrifices have to be made.
Right.
But on the grand scheme of things, what would you see?
Well, if you were actually starting this league, you'd have to look at a couple of different things.
Okay.
First of all, like a real.
Who could start a league like this?
I mean, theoretically, if you had enough capital, you could start this league, right?
Right.
But
if we had to take, and I want you to answer the question, but if we had to take the capital and we needed to use it, we had to put the capital together.
Yeah.
Who are we going to for the capital?
Well, that's the question, right? So with all the corporate sponsorships and tie-ins that the NFL has, you would have to get people to invest in this league, even the stadiums themselves. So if you're going to start a rival upstart league, you're not going to build 32 new stadiums, are you?
No.
So
can we start with 8?
Huh?
Can we start with 8?
You could, but I'm not saying that it couldn't be done. I'm just saying it would be at this point it would be a significant financial strain. Then of course, so imagine that you've been learning how to play wide receiver since you were 6 years old, right? And you've been learning how to play wide receiver. You've been busting your ass, and now you're gonna build your cousin out of jail. You're gonna build your mama a house. You're gonna do all of that, and then when you get to this point, someone's gonna say to you, "Yo, I want you to sacrifice for the greater good and go play the league where you're gonna make much, much less money." but it's gonna liberate generations of people after you. You have to put yourself into the actual head of somebody that's gonna make that decision.
Okay.
And so when you put yourself into the actual head, that versus $10 or even $5 million is a tough sell for a young brother.
So are you telling me that Martin Luther King wasn't faced with the same situation?
I'm saying he absolutely wasn't faced with the same situation.
He was not.
No, not at all. What Martin Luther King Jr. did,
or anyone else.
Well, I'm telling you what Martin Luther King Jr. did was there was no road to riches or anything like that. He wasn't doing it for adulation or fame or to make his family.
However, you could be doing something else that would be more financially beneficial during this time frame of what we call the civil rights.
Yeah, but he had a calling. These gentlemen are playing football. These gentlemen are playing football, they play football because they like it and because it's very lucrative. Like if you're at, well, we have to also, one thing that we also have to do is we have to separate like crusaders from citizens. The crusader, like brother RZA, is always going to be willing to sacrifice. Always.
Does the crusader always have to be the one that's less, that has less? Does that always have to be the case?
It's better if they have less.
Why?
Because money taints your allegiances. And see, that's what's happening right now. What's happening right now is...
Oh, where do you get your money from?
Yeah, what's happening right now is what... Like, a lot of times when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and these guys would get in trouble, they would have to call people. Like, they would call Sammy Davis Jr. and guys like that to come bail them out of jail. They couldn't get themselves out of jail. The reality is that what they were doing it for the purity of their personal and religious convictions and for the upliftment of other people.
So, Van, let me jump in.
Here's the thing. If those people get sponsored by Coca-Cola, then they got to do what Coca-Cola says to do.
Understood. Now, but being that we are a very powerful nation, we spend over $1 trillion a year on everyone else, on everything else. It's not that we don't have our own finances. It's just that we're not supporting our own, period.
Right.
So if we did have the finances, which we do, if we did have the finances and we funneled them in the direction to the greater good, why couldn't that be the seed that starts the tree?
Well, I don't think that you're going to have a lot of success convincing people that the greater good would be a football league.
Right. I'm not saying football.
I know. I mean, really, to be honest with you, Black Americans should use their money.
I'm sorry. Why wouldn't the football league though? Because the NFL makes billions.
Listen,
trillions.
Listen, I think that they make billions and trillions, and I don't think that they made it overnight. I think it took a long time for them to kind of get to the. Listen,
trillions never been made.
Listen, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be black-owned leagues and black-owned everything. I'm saying that right now, if something like that is going to be done, then it would have to be done on a level that would be so huge and so big that I think the realistic part of it is that it would take a lot of convincing to a lot of young brothers that would be a viable league to go play in.
Yeah, because truth be told, if that was to happen, we're talking about at least a 30-year turnaround before we see the numbers financially that we want to see, which means at least two generations of careers.
Yeah.
At least as a sacrifice. But in the grand scheme of things, if you're looking at things 50 years down the line, if you said that if Negro Leagues never transformed to the major leagues, and we still had the Negro Leagues, and we maintained that, where would we be today? So, if you say the same thing for NFL, if we did a Negro League for NFL, if we did that and we say, all right, well, in 50 years, this is where we would be. Why is that not worth the sacrifice? Because we are the most valuable.
I'm not saying it's not worth the sacrifice. I think it absolutely is worth the sacrifice. I'm just saying that sacrifice, I don't feel like I would be hard pressed to ask someone to sacrifice that. So so I'm not saying it's not worth it, because man, when we have these conversations and we do these things, we have to really put ourselves into the actual lives that people are living, and to tell somebody that's been given a genetic lottery ticket out of where they are,
I like that
they should like not cash it in for everybody else, that I would love if we could get that type of situation, but it's just gonna be hard to sell that.
You know what? Who has a genetic lottery ticket that does exactly what we're talking about?
Who?
LeBron James.
He plays in the NBA.
True. However, he has a genetic lottery ticket.
Sure.
And his work is reflective of what we're talking about.
So this is what we should be concentrating on. What we should be concentrating on is, first of all, if we want to start, let's do it. If we want to start, a separate leagues or black on any, I'm for all of that. But while we're doing that, or while we're figuring out how that's going to be, what we should be doing is starting a new generation of black entrepreneurship and ownership that can identify specifically with the problems that we have. The interesting thing about the LeBron James school is not that he's giving kids free tuition. It's not that he's giving kids a place to learn freely and get a great education. It's that he's taking away some of the roadblocks that young black inner city youth face. It's easy to go to school and do well when you got a full belly, when your parents are there, when they got good jobs and all of that stuff. You're only fighting against yourself. But when mama and them are fucked up, when there's drugs, when there's when you don't know where you're getting your next meal from, all of those things, that's when it gets a little bit harder to crack those books. And with all of the outreach that he did outside of the school, in order to make sure that these kids could concentrate on their academics as much as possible, that's the type of outreach that is necessary to stem the tide and change the dynamic of what's happening to our children. Now, every player that's getting money from these white people, I would love to see them do that type of stuff, because that type of investment back into your community can speed this whole thing up a little bit.
I love what LeBron is doing. I love what he's doing with not just education. I love what he's doing with media.
Yeah,
I love what he's doing with music. Being that he's the A&R for 2 Chainz. He's doing
good album.
I haven't heard the whole thing, but I love the way it starts. Yeah. But we would need more LeBrons.
Sure.
In the situation. But we would have to raise more LeBrons.
Sure.
We have to instill the seed in more little LeBrons, because again, the change that we want to see, we're not going to see in our years. It's not going to happen.
Depends.
Okay. I go for that. I personally think that I'm like, it's going to take us about 30, 40, maybe 50.
It might, but also remember this, man. The technology that we have to galvanize and push people over the top
Internet
today
has definitely changed
it's
things.
better than it's ever been.
Yes.
And all we have to do is stay on message. The good thing of the internet,
but the thing about the internet is it's fair. It's balanced. It's not beneficial for us because of the situation. It's beneficial for everybody.
Sure.
So just as much as we can put our message, there can be a contradictory message just as influential.
Well, I mean, I get it, but that's where that's where the art of conversation and the power of cultural allegiance comes in. Like, we have to talk enough to where we know what it is that we want. And once we decide what it is that we want, we have to be unrelenting about it. And the first group of people that we have to hold accountable for what it is that we want is each other. So there has to be an accountability to one another in order to get to this next step. And a lot of this stuff, to be real with you, bro, a lot of this stuff, it's harder for. I work with there's a lot of Jewish people at TMZ, and some of them are non-religious, right? And when a Jewish holy day comes, you'll ask these people, who some of them are atheists, why are they going and observing this day when they don't even believe in God? They're doing it because somebody 5,000 years or 3,500 years ago couldn't eat bread for an entire desert summer so their sacrifice means that they have to sacrifice now, meaning that they eat the matzah, bread that doesn't rise, because there was no yeast for these people a long, long time ago. In that struggle is a connective tissue that makes them go, I am willing to do without a little bit, even just a little bit, so that the whole group can rise. So for Black Americans, we might not have that same length of time, but we definitely done struggled enough for me to say, yo, let's sit down and understand how, as a group, we're going to move forward.
I want to come back to that, but I want to come back to it off air.
Off air, damn, we controversial?
Yeah. No, and I'll get into it, but I want to switch lanes real quick. Did ending segregation ruin Black economics from your standpoint? We talked about the NFL, we talked about Negro League, we talked about MLB. Do you think that ending segregation ruined Black economics?
Yeah. Simple answer. There's no way you can. There's no way you can. And it wasn't even something that. By the way, they killed Dr. King before he could actually have the Poor People's March, before he could actually give Black Americans, and really not even just Black Americans, but poor Americans, a blueprint to financial freedom and elevation in the country. And that was his next thing that he was doing. So they got him out of here before he could do that. But yeah, so part of being an American to a lot of our grandmothers and grandfathers was the ability to go places and be around people who they felt like were keeping them from the American dream, making them sit in the back of the bus and things like that. And while that was very, very important, I think that, like I was telling you in the break, my grandfather owned a grocery store, and he closed the grocery store in 1984, 1985, which is, was a little...
Here in LA or
no,
Louisiana?
Okay. And when I asked him why nobody came to the grocery store anymore, because I used to love it. I used to go there and open up chocolate milks, drink them. It was great. And I asked him, well, I wasn't stealing. He was my grandfather. Everything in the store was mine. And so when I asked him why people didn't come to his grocery store, well, he told me that, well, his exact words were, niggas feel like the white man's milk tastes better than my milk. So what he would say is that if they could go to the Winn-Dixie and get some milk, why would they come here and get it from the dude who's been feeding them for 2 or 3 generations? And the reality is
that's a hard statement in itself right there.
Listen,
2 or 3 generations.
QT Ellis was the man. So the reality was that for him, he watched integration really take his business away. You know what I mean? And it wasn't something that was. It wasn't something that was thank you very much. It wasn't something that it wasn't nefarious, it wasn't diabolical. It was just the fact that there was out of necessity, we had thriving Black communities because we had to spend our money on each other. We had to go we had to do these places. After we didn't, we kind of stopped. And there were also there were also communities where they purposely came in and burned us down and destroyed everything that we had going, like in Tulsa, like in Rosewood, places like that. So
all our Black Wall Streets.
Yeah, so it was like there was a certain segregation made Black people think that, not by and large, not everyone, but it made some people think that the way to ascend to the next level was to go live where white people live.
And truth. And that's why I asked the question about segregation ending or ruining Black economics. Statistically speaking, in Asian community, the dollar circulates for 60 days before it leaves its community. In the Caucasian community, it circulates for 30 days. In the Hispanic community, it circulates for 20 days before it leaves its community. Black community, 6 hours. So when we talk about Black economics, we talk about how fast and how much the money is coming out of our community. Going back to when we talked about Black people spending over $1 trillion a year on economics. Mix that with the stat that it says that we only keep it there for 6 hours before it's out of here.
And you can see who's getting rich.
You see it.
Right.
And it begins to make sense. So when we talk about a person like a Jackie Robinson, because we talked about this off air, it's like when I say, well, I personally think that him specifically hurt black economics the most.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because he was a Negro League All-Star.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted him to come to the Major League so bad, and he wanted to get there so badly.
But a lot of Negro League players did.
True.
Josh Gibson did.
True.
Satchel Paige did. A lot of them did.
True. Does that make it valid?
Doesn't make it valid. I think that what those guys saw, and
it's what we all seen.
Well, but if we're being fair to them, what they saw was fancy buses, gigantic stadiums. They saw a level of achievement.
But then I look at Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I look at the doctors, lawyers, all the thriving businesses there.
Yeah.
Why couldn't we have our own?
Right. Well,
nice bus.
Well, understand. Like, here's the deal. We could have, and I guess we could have. But at that point, when you're looking at the major league, there was a huge difference between the major league baseball and the Negro Leagues. If you're saying that the Negro League should have been enough for Jackie Robinson, I get you. I'm not gonna ignore that. But I can't really be mad at Jackie Robinson for having wanted to play Major League Baseball. Like, he wanted to play baseball on what he thought playing baseball at the highest level was.
Then in the same breath, we can't be mad at Floyd Mayweather for wearing Gucci.
I'm not. What I'm saying is, like, I'm not mad at him for wearing Gucci. I don't really care about Gucci. What I'm mad at him for doing... See, to me, you can wear all the Gucci you want if you're reinvesting into your community.
But where's the consistency?
The consistency is this. Wearing Gucci or not wearing Gucci doesn't denote how much you care about black people.
The fact that he's wearing Gucci. The message that he's sending with wearing Gucci.
What denotes whether or not you care about black people is what you do for black people every day. Because whether or not you buy a shirt or whether or not you buy a pair of shoes is not going to undo the real and tangible outreach and reinvestment that you have been doing for an X amount of time. Now, if you don't do any of that, and you fucking wear the sweatshirt, now, you know what I'm saying? Now you fucked up. But if you doing it, that's why we was talking about Sue. But if you have an active interest in what's going on in your community and what's going on with black people, you can wear whatever you want.
And for the record, I want to say, I love Snoop.
I love Snoop too.
I think, Snoop is one of the...
I'll be honest with you. The funniest thing about the Gucci boycott is that they did it before the Rock Nation brunch. And when that Rock Nation brunch came, them niggas was like, man, I already had this picked out, dog. Like, man, I've been had this. But like, I'm not like, can I get like a... And so, you know...
Who's the hip-hop Malcolm X?
Damn, good question, dog. Shit.
Who is the hip-hop Malcolm X?
So let's describe what Malcolm X was. Malcolm X was a true believer. He was outspoken. He was uncompromising. He was brave. He had a checkered past. He was anointed. So let's think about the hip hop guy that had
Jay.
You think it's T.I.? You think it's Jay? Jay is a good answer, but Jay's kind of corporate.
Jay's a great answer.
Jay's a great answer, but Jay's a great answer. Who is the hip hop Malcolm X? Damn, that's a good question, man.
I got my answer. I just want to hear what you gonna say.
I'm gonna be real with you, man. I'm going Kendrick, bro.
Kendrick.
I'm going Kendrick.
I say Nip.
Nip is great. Nip is a great Victory Lap album of the year, by the way.
If this documentary of Dr. Sebi comes out, I will definitely put Nip.
That's so important.
I'm definitely putting Nip up there.
But the reason why I go Kendrick is because Kendrick seems to be, and shout out to Top and the whole organization, like Kendrick seems to be closer to the genesis of who he is than a lot of other rappers. Like Kendrick speaks his mind on these issues without thinking of his corporate sponsorships and his. I'm not saying that Jay is a rap Tony Stark. He's a guy who can get things done on. He is. He's a guy.
Man.
He's a rap Tony Stark. He's a guy who can get things done genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. A guy who
Absolutely.
can get things done on macro. I'm talking about someone who just stands in front of a crowd with his heart to the world and leads without caring about what anybody else is going to say. I feel like that's Kendrick. Or Cole. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, right.
I like the Kendrick answer. I think that Cole might be a little premature. I love Cole. I think that musically we would say that.
Right.
Outside of music, I don't think that we can say that.
Right.
But my pick would definitely be T.I.
T.I., okay. T.I., you can't go wrong with T.I. T.I.'s the man.
Yeah, he's calling them out.
That's messed up that y'all didn't stay loyal to Compton, though. I gotta be real.
I love. Wait, hold on.
Nah, man.
Kendrick's top 5.
Yeah, nah, man.
We already know. Hey, man.
That's why the West Coast gotta stick together. Yeah, bro. Segregation.
You ain't West Coast.
I know, but I'm just saying. Y'all didn't even stay loyal. Kendrick, I'm in Compton here. I'm repping for you, bro.
Yes, you are.
Well, I was trying to make it happen.
Yes, you are. You damn right.
They're like T.I. They're first from Atlanta. They're down south, man. I should have said Boosie. Shout out to Baton Rouge, bro.
Yeah, loving Boosie.
I think it's because Kendrick, you know, he's not as outspoken as T.I. outside of the music.
That's true. That's a very fine.
You know what I mean? Y'all hop on Instagram in a second and let it be known how you feel about a certain topic.
Now he might have his issue with Floyd, but when Floyd put that picture out, that nigga went right to the booth.
Yeah.
Right to the booth. Damn, hell no.
I mean, yo, the criticisms in that song were valid.
Very valid. Very accurate.
Yeah, they're valid.
Very valid. Very accurate, man. So that's why I like T.I. and when we ask that question.
Yeah, I feel you. Good question.
So now, I know you're a hip hop fan.
Yeah.
And been for a very long
time. Sure.
If we were to say the 3 most conscious, influential hip hop artists of all time.
Wow.
Damn. Conscious, influential.
Conscious and influential, or conscious / influential?
And influential.
Wow.
Both. Now, if we were to say we have
conscious and influential.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, man. This shit not gonna be easy.
Okay, so Pac.
Okay, I like that. Can't go wrong with that.
Now, Pac is conscious and influential. Right. Yeah. Pac is the most influential hip hop artist of all time.
And he's the only artist that, to me, has gotten better with every album.
Right. So
not every album was better in the beginning and then it got worse.
Okay,
all right,
so Pac, Nas.
Okay.
Because Nas is super conscious and was incredibly influential.
Okay.
Okay.
I would argue that influential part.
Now.
Illmatic, bro.
Influential.
Illmatic was super influential. Now. Let's say we were to cut this off at the year 2016. The last answer, I know this is going to be ironic for a lot of people, would be Kanye West. And no.
Okay.
No. Okay. I get it. I know that sounds weird coming from me, but it does. Like I know that seems weird coming from me, but let me tell you why. Prior to whatever meltdown happened over the last year and a half, 2 years.
It's fucking several meltdowns. Go ahead.
Several meltdowns. Kanye West was both the most influential hip hop artist of his generation, without a doubt, changed the sound of music and birthed the other most influential artist of his generation. And if you go back and listen to Kanye's catalog, all the way through, even to Pablo, every single album deals with, at least in part, the plight and the state of Black Americans. Every single album. Some of the most, he was unflinching and unrelenting with his criticisms of the drug war, of how he felt like AIDS was being administered to Black Americans, economic inequality, all of these things. He dealt with all of these things in rap songs, in pop rap songs, in a way that made us, the cultural allegiance that I felt for Kanye West, and that we all felt for Kanye West, in part came because there was this Black man who, when my people were in the water in South Louisiana after Hurricane Katrina came, stood up on TV in front of the whole nation and said exactly what we were thinking and said, yo, George Bush doesn't care about black people. I'm in Louisiana in 2005 and he's doing this. I'm like, yo, man.
He said that.
Yeah, he said, I'm like, yo, what? And by the way, at that time in Louisiana, in South Louisiana, everybody was a black person. Everybody was a nigga. Because everybody was down in the water trying to figure out how they were going to survive. And so when somebody with that type of platform was doing that, it was a big deal. The reason why I'm disappointed in Ye is because I put all of that sort of energy and that love and respect and adulation and cultural trust into someone and built this big ass gun for them, this big ass cultural weapon, right? And then they turn that weapon around and use it against me. So the disappointment with Kanye West wasn't because he was an insignificant, not influential artist. It was because he was so significant and so influential. And so that's what happened.
Dan, let me say this. I don't like how weathered black people are.
What do you mean?
I don't like how we go with the wind. I don't like how in one breath we praise Kanye when he says George Bush doesn't like black people. And the radical saying that it was, because it was a radical quote. Very radical. But then on the flip side, when he says slavery was a choice, we stone him.
Well, I mean, when you love your girl when she's fucking you, you don't love her so much when she's fucking the next nigga.
That's not okay. That's not the same thing, though.
I'm
that's
saying,
a cold. That's a cold quote. That's very emotional, right there.
I'm saying, like when like it matters what you say, not just that you say crazy shit.
Okay, now we love that he said crazy shit for us.
Yeah, for us.
But when it says crazy shit that doesn't, we don't necessarily agree with.
Now we don't like it. Yes, that's completely.
We don't like that shit. Now, I think that Kanye had a plan. I don't think that Kanye is crazy. I don't think that Kanye is stupid. I don't think that he's cloned or uncalculated in his moves.
That could be true.
I don't believe that.
Right.
I believe that the same Kanye that we got when it was George Bush doesn't like black people is the same Kanye we get when we say slavery was a choice.
Missing one thing though.
Well,
he's missing one thing, one very important.
Why would you? Okay, what is he missing?
His mother.
I'm not arguing that.
He's missing one thing that.
Shit, man.
Like he's missing one thing
that's
kept
unfair.
He's missing one thing. His mother was the chair of African American Studies at Chicago State.
Truth.
A woman that kept Ye grounded and kept Ye completely his rudder pointed in the right direction.
Truth.
And kept a lot of things.
Truth.
And so he's missing he's missing that. And
look what he replaced her with.
Right. And listen, but listen, I wish nothing but the best for Kanye West, who still remains a cultural icon, who I still will put that question that you asked me. I wish nothing but the best for all of my brothers and sisters. But the reality is that when it becomes the ninth inning or the fourth quarter, crunch time in the American political, socioeconomic debate, we need all our soldiers to rise to the occasion. And we don't need people who are dividing us. We also don't need people who are doing the one. We can all disagree. Today on my podcast, I had Coleon DeWar. He represents the NRA. I'm a big gun guy, right? NRA is definitely an organization that doesn't give a fuck about black people, right? But I had him on there to talk about because he's a black dude. I had him on there to discuss what black people need to do to be educated on gun laws and to really take advantage of the Second Amendment. I can talk about anything with any black guy, any black man, conservative or liberal. What I cannot talk about, and what I will not ever relent or give any ground on, is what our ancestors sacrificed for us. Okay. Everybody in this room that's black is here because somebody survived something.
Truth
Like
story,
somebody
true
survived something so that you could be here. And so if you
that means
come,
so much more from a dude that has a bill of sale.
I mean, real, you know what I'm saying? Somebody survived something. And so if you come to where I work and even hint that that shit, that they weren't survivors, that they were in some way culpable for that putrid existence that they were born into, me and you gotta have a verbal spat, man. And that's what happened. I love you. Yeah, bro. You know, I mean, but you know, that's the way it goes.
All right. Now,
damn, I love Hennessy, man. Bro, man, the Hennessy got me
going
deep into my like.
It gets you going, bro.
Bro, I'm telling you, like, I'm thinking on a level.
You got enough napkins, right?
Yeah, no, we good. I don't want any more napkins. I'm gonna sweat this shit out.
Bro, first off, I appreciate you coming through here. We talked about NFL. We've talked about Colin Kaepernick, Black economics, Jackie Robinson. We didn't quite talk about R. Kelly.
You want to talk about R. Kelly?
I need to know what you feel about this brother, R. Kelly, man. The situation up now that he was accused of keeping these young ladies in his home under their will, having this whore house abuse, for lack of better words. What is it that we feel about R. Kelly? What's the thought on R. Kelly?
How I feel about R. Kelly. There's one incredible resource that we have in our community that must be nurtured, protected, uplifted, and loved.
Black woman.
Black woman. Black women. Whenever you see a black woman and her hair looks beautiful, tell her how it's shining. Whenever you see a black woman at her job and she's doing a great job.
But what's a black beautiful hair? What's black beautiful hair from a black woman?
Every woman's hair in this room. Just tell them their hair look good, dog. Don't even fucking, you know what I'm saying?
So, no, I want to know because
just like I know, but just say, yo, man, your shit is tight today. Just don't even worry about it. Because sometimes, you know, you might be struggling, but when you see him, just be like, just say, yo, you know, you look amazing. When you see a black woman, here's the rule for black men and black women: when you see a black woman, lift her up. Because remember that they have been lifting you up for they have been lifting you up forever. The woman that gave me my blueprint on how to do this life thing is my mother. My father gave me my backbone. He's the reason why I don't take no shit. But the woman that told me how to understand the entire world was my mom. She broke it down for me. So anyone who victimizes black women, they get dealt with the worst. They get dealt with the most strict.
There's no sympathy here.
There's zero sympathy for you if you victimize young black women. If you take away their power and their soul and their light and their magic, you get everything I got.
Why do you think that R. Kelly has been able to get away with this shit?
Because we didn't take it seriously enough.
You know what I'm gonna tell you?
Myself, Van Lathan, the person that's saying the same thing that I just said, and my history didn't take crimes against young black women seriously enough. The guys that I know didn't take it seriously enough. We didn't take it seriously enough. And so because we didn't take it seriously enough then, we have to take it double or triple seriously now. And so we have to make up for that now. And we have to make up for that now to let you know that if you are an uncle, a cousin, a grandfather, a mother, a aunt, whoever, that would then victimize another young black woman, this is what's going to happen to you. We're going to take it all from you. Yeah. And we're going to watch you rot and cry on Gayle King and all of that stuff for the rest of your life.
Do we believe him?
Believe him in terms of what?
That this he's been acquitted. I beat my case. I beat my case. Why are we talking about this?
I know why you beat the case.
Why? What?
Let me break down why you beat the case.
Why do we beat the case?
Okay. So in 2000, whatever, R. Kelly's on trial for this, right? a journalist from the Chicago Sun-Times. His name is Jim DeRogatis or something like that. So this is the guy that had the original sex tape, and kind of he got the sex tape and he sent it around to a bunch of people, made copies, and so he was a journalist.
Right.
Now, at the point that R. Kelly had paid everybody else off, allegedly paid people off, to say that it wasn't this underage girl in the tape, the one person who could testify to this was this guy, this journalist from the Chicago Sun-Times. Now, what happened was, when he was getting ready to take the stand, this is how good attorneys are. Brothers, get good legal representation. This is how good attorneys are.
Say
The
that part
attorneys,
again.
the attorneys say to this guy, or they tell his people that, listen, if you go on the stand and say that you saw the R. Kelly sex tape with a 14-year-old girl, and say that you made copies of that sex tape to pass it out to different people, we're not going to prosecute you for child pornography and then for distributing child pornography. So when he gets on the stand, rather than testifying to the fact that he knows it's R. Kelly and knows it's the girl, he takes the Fifth Amendment. So without that testimony, they don't have what they need to convict R. Kelly. He walks. Now, the legal system been working for white people for a long time. It could work for R. Kelly too. My point is, that doesn't mean that because he beat that case in whatever year that he beat it, that we can't use our own common sense, that plus the accusers and the survivors that were in that documentary. Choose your own adventure about R. Kelly. My mind is made up. I think that the guy is a predator. I'm not saying that the brother is doomed to eternity in hell. That's between him and my God up in heaven. But what I am saying is that I don't want him to hurt any more little black girls. That's it.
I think that the weird part about him hanging out at high schools or hanging out at McDonald's close to high schools or anything of the sort is insane to have a conversation about.
Yeah,
it's like after all these allegations, are we still talking about you hanging with 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old? Is that really a conversation when you're 50 plus?
That's messed up. That's crazy.
It makes no sense. But then that takes me back to Michael Jackson.
Who's that? Listen, I'm not prepared to talk about him. It's very upsetting.
Did you watch the documentary?
I don't know what you're talking about.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. Hey man. Yeah.
Listen, the documentary was very upsetting. You guys watch it. If you watch it,
I've only seen
about Michael Jackson, but Jesus Christ.
I've only seen like little small clips.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the whole documentary.
I watched it.
I want to see it. I went to HBO on demand. It wasn't on demand for whatever reason, but I always believed that he had something to do there.
It's very hard to watch the documentary and not believe it. But I'm gonna be real with y'all. And what I listen, I promise, one thing I promise everyone, like the inside of my voice right now, is for the rest of my career, no matter where it takes me, I will always be honest about my feelings and emotions with you guys. Here's the honest thing. Even if I believe what I saw in that documentary, even if I think that it happened, I don't know if it's possible for me to just throw Michael Jackson away.
Why?
Because it's just too much a part of me.
Give me something better. Because
there is nothing better. It's a failing. It's a personal failing on my side that, like, if I watch that whole documentary, and if you play Rock With You right now, I'm gonna start dancing. Now, if you play Half on a Baby right now, I'm gonna be like, yo, man, turn that R. Kelly shit off, dog. But if you play Rock With You right now, if you play Thriller, I'm gonna do the whole choreography.
If we play You Are Not Alone.
Oh, look at you. Because it's Mike, but it's R. Kelly, but it's R. Kelly, but it's Mike. Yes. But it's like my brain is exploding.
What do you
I'm like, yo, can I fucking dance to this? Because
What do you
it's R.
do?
Kelly, but it's Mike. It's Mike Kelly. You know what I'm saying?
Then you just fucking passed out right there.
I know. I'm just gonna fucking faint.
That's it.
This guy.
That's it. Now I was sitting there thinking like, damn, this is the whole thing that they are fucking crucifying both of them. And the truth of the matter is,
It's been a bad couple of years for black icons. It's a bad couple of years for black icons.
It is a bad couple of years.
We lost Bill Cosby. We lost Jello. We lost
Jello. You put Jello in there.
We lost Bill Cosby. We also lost Jello. We lost R. Kelly. We lost Mike. We lost a lot.
You remember those minutes where they had the list? They was checking it off.
That's exactly what happened. They was checking it off.
That truly is a rough, because that's a rough series of icons. It's not just regular.
Mike Prince, not Prince. Mike R. Kelly and fucking Bill Cosby. That's tough. Bro.
That's tough.
The guys are trash though, man.
They're swinging haymakers.
They are.
And now they're going for Jesse.
Jesse who? Oh, Jesse Smollett. Jesus Christ.
They're going for Jesse.
Free Jesse.
An icon. Throw him an icon talk.
He is an icon.
Yeah, I mean, for icon for them, whoever them is. Damn, man. Listen, man. This is. I got so much more shit to go through with you, but it's no way we're gonna get through all this.
I feel you, bro. Hey, man. I appreciate y'all having me, though, bro.
No, I definitely appreciate you for coming through here, bro.
Yeah,
and
being
very
time in Compton, bro.
Y'all
all live in Compton?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm talking about, bro.
Sub City in this thing, man. Even if we didn't vote for Kendrick on,
y'all didn't. It was really shocking to me.
Yeah, I bet she's on our top 5 though. I bet you ain't nobody.
All right, real quick,
out
before I leave,
rapping
before I leave though, top 5 West Coast rappers of all time right now.
West Coast rappers of all time. I don't know if you can consider Tupac West Coast rapper.
You don't consider Tupac a West Coast rapper?
Some people don't.
Because he was born in the East Coast?
And some people would say that. Some people would say that he was raised in D.C.
Prodigal son, man.
They would say he's a prodigal son. However, I think that he's a West Coast legend.
He's somewhere crying right now.
I'm going to put him in there.
Yeah.
He's definitely in there. Kendrick is going in there for sure.
He's in there.
He's in there for sure.
He makes the last little spot. Cube, we got Cube, Snoop.
Got Cube and Snoop. I love DJ Quick.
Yeah.
I'm a huge DJ Quick fan.
Hey, let me ask y'all a question. What about Game?
Game should be in there too.
Game is definitely, he has some of the dopest lyrics. He's very lyrical. What I don't like about Game though is that he names drops a lot.
That's his way.
So what?
Other than that,
so what?
He's very lyrical.
He's probably one of
it's
the
very dope.
lyrical West Coast MCs ever.
Yeah, I had to give that to him. I would not deny him as one of the best lyrical MCs I know. Early Corrupt.
Corrupt from the East Coast too, right?
Same thing. Same thing.
So this is my top 5.
West Coast?
West Coast.
Okay.
Ever.
This is like the golden list.
Number 1.
King T.
The nigga say King T. I love Sugar Free.
So number 1.
Why you bullshit?
Number 1, Pop.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, Kendrick.
Okay.
Number 3, Q.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, Snoop. And number 5, Skee-Lo. I wish I was a little bit taller.
Nigga, what?
I wish I was taller. I wish I had a girl that would I would call her. I wish I had a rabbit.
Joe, that shit off the
back. 6'4" taller. Y'all hating on that nigga.
Yes, we are.
Hadn't been another nigga to rap about how short he was.
That is hands down.
That nigga's
classic.
Bushwick Bill.
He's Texas. That's Texas though. That's Texas. That's
bro.
Texas. That's different. That's not West Coast.
Man, shout out to everybody on the West Coast. West Coast is in. Y'all don't even. West Coast is having y'all in the moment, man. West Coast is
it's lit right now.
Yeah, it's lit.
It's definitely lit on the West Coast right now. I think that we have a hell of a spotlight on us right now.
Without a doubt. Bro.
So you know, shout out to everybody except for Skee-Lo.
Man.
I respect my man Van, but Skee-Lo was a stretch. No, it's all good, man. Van, again, thank you, man, for coming through here. I appreciate it.
Man, I appreciate being around my people. Appreciate the love for you guys, man.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you for keeping it 100 in here, man.
Yeah.
Thank y'all all for tuning in.
Whenever y'all want to have me back, too, just let me know.
Don't say that.
Easy. And we're going to make sure we have a whole 50 Hennessy next time. So, not just the small bottle. The basketball tournament.
What
The
happened?
basketball
What's
tournament,
the
bro.
basketball
Listen, let me explain something.
Sure.
All right. Now there's 100,000 people in Compton. Now I want you to know that I'm.
Wait, what?
There's 100,000 people here in Compton.
God damn!
That's a lot of motherfuckers, right?
That's fucking yo. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Shit.
Now there's 45,000 registered voters.
Okay.
So that's a little less than half.
What's that?
Okay. Of that 45,000, there's only 3,000 active voters.
Wow.
So we got 42,000 people that sit on their hands. Okay.
Can't have that.
Now the average age in Compton is 25 years old.
Really?
So statistically speaking, it is people like myself, like the people that you see around here that are voting.
Okay.
We're attempting to change that.
Right.
By getting more engaged and having more events. We're having a celebrity basketball tournament.
Okay.
We want to get people registered to vote there. I think that local voting is super, super important because most people get in office here in Compton with 500 votes or less. And we don't have a say in that.
Right.
Compton is a very, very, very rich city. People don't understand that. We're very rich. We get more than $300 million annually just from government aid. That's not including business taxes and property taxes and everything else that we tax you for in Compton. There's a lot of money here. We don't have a say so because we don't vote. My goal is to change that. My goal is to have more events so where we can get people registered to vote. More events where we can talk about the importance of voting and how it affects our community directly. So we're doing an event March 24th at King Drew High School. It's a celebrity basketball tournament. We have several people coming out. I would love for you just to be there. Wait, don't show me no game. Bro, if you're a basketball player, this nigga's done.
Look at that!
Wait a
Look
minute.
at Van look at the
Van
big
is-
man get up.
Van-
Watch this. Bang!
Bro!
Oh, look
Bro!
at the big man get up. Yo, look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
So you're a basketball player.
Hey!
What's happening?
When you
man?
need me.
Are you coming?
When you need me.
The 24th of this month.
I'm there.
You there?
I'm there.
Then
Who else playing in the game?
Man, we got Tam Third playing in the
I'ma
game.
cook
We
him.
got I Am Compton
I'ma
playing in
cook
the
him.
game. Cooking him?
I'm gonna cook him. Who
Cooking
else?
him. We got Lil Easy ain't playing. He ain't fucking
He'll get cooked.
around. London on the track.
I'll cook him too.
Cooking
Great beats can't hoop though.
Okay.
Like tell me more. Who else is playing?
Shoot, man. I think Lasses Alone might be.
I'm on his podcast next week. I tell him to his face I'll cook him.
Loving it, man.
Seriously, all jokes aside, y'all
Seriously.
need me, I'm there. Also,
We need you there.
bruh, when you need me, hit me. If it's for us, I'm there.
I'm loving it, dog. I really feel like that you really mean that.
Whatever y'all got, put my name on the flyer. I'm there. What day is it? It's a Saturday?
It's a Sunday.
It's a Sunday.
It's a
Okay,
Sunday.
well,
It's from
okay,
1 to
that's
5.
my personal time. But I'm there, bro. I'm seriously. I got you. March 24th.
It's definitely important, man, that we get some of the people out here in Compton, man, to come out and register to vote and be engaged in the voting process. We will have some of the local.
Not only am I there, I'll bring 2 players.
Come on, bro. What you bringing, bro?
I'm gonna try to get my man Jesse Williams from Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah. We love Jesse Williams.
Jesse's my guy. And I'm trying to think of who else I can get. It's a couple basketball. I'll get either Matt Barnes or Steven Jackson to come out.
Okay.
Jack.
Okay.
I'll get either
Now
Matt
because
Barnes. Jack don't live here. I'll get either Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson, or Al Harrington to come play. And all 3 of those boys, I'll bust their ass.
So okay, now real quick, let me ask you this before we go.
Sure.
Quick answer. Can you be pro-black and date outside your race?
Yes.
Can we
I
have?
don't, but yeah.
Can we have great leadership from that?
Is Harry Belafonte a great leader?
I like Harry Belafonte.
Yes, outside of his race.
I like Jesse Williams.
I mean, I don't know what Jesse's married. Was married to a black woman for a long time. I don't know Jesse outside of his race, but yeah. But the reality is, yeah, you can't. Listen, here's the deal.
I like how we have to.
We always gotta take care of our sisters, and our sisters feel a lot of hurt sometimes when they see brothers dating outside their race. But I think it, for me personally, you know, it's not something that I've ever done in terms of like long-term relationships or whatever. But I don't. The only reason why I say that, I shouldn't have to say that. But the only reason why I say that is to remind black women that I'm here for them. Okay. And so the you know, my girl is a black lady, and so like it you always have to make sure that black women feel reassured about situations like that. And but you can't discount someone because of who they fall in love with. You just can't do that.
Truth.
So there you go.
Truth. Understood.
Van Lathan in the building, man. Hub Radio, live from the Hub, man. Again, thank you for coming through, man. We'll be right. No, we won't be back. Till next week. We're out of here, man.
Peace.
Hub Radio. Yeah.
The Hub.
Too late.